All right, guys, let's talk about transitions. All right, first thing we're going to cover is some is a method of using a sling. Slings are getting a little more popular with shotguns. This obviously is if it applies for your lifestyle, your job. Military guys typically will carry a sling if they're on a roadblock position for a long period of time, or if you're law enforcement and that's just what you happen to use. Even competitors are using some slings nowadays, things like that. So we'll talk and cover the transition with a sling, and then we'll go into some variations without a sling, since I think still the majority of people with a shotgun don't use a sling typically. All right, so for the first one, basically what's going to happen is after we do our administrative load on our handguns, because we'll be using handguns for this obviously, you're going to have this gun set up with 2 rounds in it for this drill. You're going to have a round in the pipe and you're going to have a round in the tube. So on the threat command, what's going to happen is you're going to engage. Obviously I have an auto gun right now, so I'm going to know when this thing locks to the rear. When I attempt to fire and nothing happens, I'm going to transition the gun. Now transitioning the shotgun, basically I'm just laying it right down in front. We're not throwing it out of the way. Okay, just like our carbine techniques, it's the same thing. You're laying it down. At that point, it is just a pile of metal and polymer or wood. Okay, it doesn't do you any good to be throwing it around and trying to get it into other places, because when you start moving and running in a situation, it's probably going to end up right back here in the front. Okay, so no point in wasting, excessive waste or movement. Once you lay this gun down, the hand is going straight to the handgun. You're driving the handgun straight out, and you'll engage with 2 to 3 rounds for me on the target. Once you engage with 2 to 3 rounds, come back into the high compressed ready position, search and assess, and at this point I'll start to grab the shotgun and holster the handgun and bring it up. Guess what's going to happen? If I'm running an auto gun, what am I going to see? Okay, this kind of looks familiar to our carbine. I see an open bolt, so I'm probably going to grab for that combat reload source, drop it in, send my bolt home, and we're going to feed the tube with 1. So again, we've got 2 rounds in the weapon system. We're set up for the next transition drill. Okay, if you got a pump, that pump is going to come to the rear. Same thing. Combat load it, send the pump home, feed 1 in the tube. Any questions on transitioning? All right, I'll just demo it really quick. Search and assess, and then you're set up for the next drill again. Okay, if you're running a sling. Now, any questions on sling methods? Okay, let's talk about some techniques if you do not have a sling. If you don't have a sling, which is pretty typical, specifically law enforcement guys are grabbing them out of racks or grabbing them out of trunks, and that they're running with what they have. So basically, there's a couple different techniques. Depends, it's kind of a personal preference of where you have the most control of the gun. I'll talk about a few of them here. Basically, the first one is if this gun runs dry, we're going to do a high tuck position, okay? Where basically, it's just easy and ergonomically for me to bring the gun straight into here, hold onto the gun, and transition the handgun out and engage with the handgun. And then move and then work with the tactical scenario at that point, or competitive scenario at that point if that's what it calls for. Okay, so again, it's just a tuck. So I'll run through that one really quick. High compress ready, bring it back, boom, I've got my combat reload source, feed the tube, search and assess, and I'm set up for the next drill. Any questions on that one? Okay, that's the high tuck. Now, the next one is just kind of as if you had a sling, but we really don't. So since we don't have a sling, we've got to maintain control of the gun. So again, basically I'm just kind of laying it down, keeping the muzzle in a safe direction, transitioning, driving the handgun out on target, engaging 2, coming back up, doing my combat reload and such, and going from there. And that's the low, muzzle safe kind of transition without a sling technique, for a lack of better terms. Okay? Any questions on that one? Next technique, this is pretty much what I prefer because of tactical readiness. is a breakdown, okay? It's kind of a butt tuck, okay? For, again, a lack of better terms. So basically what I'm gonna be doing here is when I engage with this weapon system, I will drive the gun out and take the butt of the gun and tuck it back underneath my reaction arm. All right, now why would I want to do this? What's a good reason I could do this?
Make use of the weapons mounted light.
Sure, if I've got a weapons mounted light on here, which I do, at nighttime I can run this light with that handgun out, because obviously I don't have a light on my handgun, so I can't really have a handheld in this position with my reaction hand, so I've got one on my weapon system that I can still use. So at nighttime, this is a good technique to use if you have to transition with your shotgun. Again, it is a butt tuck. You're taking the butt of the weapon system and just throwing it underneath the reaction arm and using your elbow to capture the gun. I've got complete control. I'm not holding the weight. I've got a good symmetric center line of the weapon system here underneath my arm, and I can pretty much maneuver anywhere I need to go like this. If I need to be safe, I can just drop it down real quick, okay? All right, let me go ahead and demonstrate that one really quick. That's pretty much the tuck method underneath the reaction arm. Okay guys, just a recap on those 4 positions. Again, we've got the sling transition where you're just letting go of the weapon system, 2 hands on the handgun. That's optimal for me because I always like to have 2 hands on my handgun if I can get it. If you don't have a sling, you've got the reaction hand muzzle up technique. Okay, you've got the reaction hand muzzle down technique. And then, what's the last one? The butt tuck technique, okay? So we're gonna run through those. However, now I think the sling is pretty spoken for, okay? Since some of you guys have slings and some of you don't, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come out here, again, one in the tube, one in the pipe is how we'll set the guns up. We will take our slings off because I think it's pretty easy for us to transition with a sling on, drop the gun and pull a handgun out. So we're gonna try the harder ways, just in case one day you don't have a sling on your gun. So you're gonna be doing first, the muzzle up, reaction hand, muzzle down, reaction hand, and then the reaction under the arm butt tuck technique. Got it?